Hello and welcome to another educational video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. Thanks for clicking on my video today. I really appreciate your time and attention very much. And if you like my videos, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel or even hit the super thanks button and give me a super thanks. Alright? It's the same thing either way. Alright, so today, very quickly, hopefully, just try to kind of give you some advice on this question. I'm not sure that it's an answer, but I get this question a lot. You know, how many prints can you get from a gallon or maybe a quart of ink, whether it be plastisol or water-based, right? So that's the question today that I'm going to try to give you some advice on. Okay, so there are some complex factors involved in the answer of how many prints can you get per gallon of ink or how many prints can you get per quart of ink when you're screen printing t-shirts, right? And it's kind of complex, so let me try to help you out a little bit in understanding this. And that the first variable, or factor, whatever you want to call it, you know, is really your screen. You know, how big is the design is number one. And sometimes we refer to the stencil as information. How much information is on the screen? The bigger the design is, the more ink it's going to print naturally or inherently, right? So if we're printing a little left chest, it's going to print way less ink than if we're printing a big full front or all over print or something like that. Okay, so that's the first real thing to consider is how big is the print? So the next factor or set of factors or variables in how much ink is actually printed is basically, you know, what are you printing and how are you printing it? So there's a lot of things that can affect the volume of ink that you actually print, right? So on a manual press, we probably tend to print a little bit more ink on the shirt than an automatic press. And then of course, remember your mesh count. The lower the mesh count is, the more ink it's going to print naturally, right? And also, you know, think about the color of the ink. Like, so black ink is kind of the master of all inks, right? So we can print black ink on a white shirt and print a really low volume of black ink and the print looks great. But then when we look at white ink on a black shirt, right? Now we're printing a lot more white ink in order to get the opacity or the coverage, right? So the second variable, you know, or factor is really that there's a set of factors or variables in which, you know, the way you're printing exactly, you know, especially with manual, the way you're printing and how you're printing will determine exactly how much ink you're printing, okay? So there's a lot of different things to consider there. Not only the mesh count, squeegee, the color ink. Again, I'll remind you, dark inks that you print on light colored garments will go much farther than light colored inks on dark garments. Okay, if that makes sense, you follow? So it's really difficult to say, honestly. The answer to this question is rather difficult to pinpoint. So, you know, unfortunately, the answer to this question is that it's very difficult to determine this number of how many prints can you get per gallon or per quart of ink. And there are some ways people try to figure it out. Like I've heard of people weighing the shirt before it's printed and then weighing it after it's printed to try to determine how much weight, you know, of ink that was added to the shirt, right? But in some cases like black ink, like here, you know, it's black ink on this shirt, there's a very low volume of ink, and I would say that you would need a really, really super duper scale to kind of measure this print because it's going to be, you know, very little. So yeah, so the answer is we could generally kind of say that gallons might print 1,000 or 2,000 depending. A quart could print 100 or 200, or if it's a little left crust with a black ink in a quart, could be 500. Right? So you just kind of have to remember that the consumption of ink is going to really depend directly on what you're printing and how you're printing it. Okay, some jobs will just use a lot less ink than others. I think that's all I have for you today on that topic. Hopefully this kind of helped open your eyes to the real dynamics of, you know, screen printing and how much volume of ink can be printed and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hopefully I can hit 100,000 subscribers before I pass away. That'd be great. Hit the super thanks button if you enjoyed this video. And of course, check out my offerings at Catspit screenprintsupply.com. I sell screen printing equipment and supplies there. All my offerings are there. Contact me if you have any questions. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.